You won't believe what just happened. Just 1 minute ago, Guy Penrod finally broke his silence, and what he revealed is sending shockwaves through the entire gospel music community. For weeks now, whispers have been growing louder. Quiet messages turned into anxious conversations. Prayer requests began appearing across Facebook groups, church comment sections, and private chats. Fans around the world were asking the same question over and over again. Is Guy Penrod okay? Some of the rumors were subtle. Others were deeply troubling. Claims of serious illness. Speculation about stepping away from ministry. Even suggestions that something was being hidden from the public. And the silence, the lack of an immediate response, only made the fear grow stronger. Devoted followers found themselves refreshing their phones late at night. Churches added his name to prayer lists without knowing why. Social media feeds filled with concern, confusion, and heartbreak. People weren't gossiping. They were genuinely scared for a man whose voice had carried them through some of the hardest moments of their lives. But today, everything changed. Today, Guy Penrod himself stepped forward. Before we get into what he said, you need to understand how this situation spiraled so far out of control, because this isn't just about one gospel singer. This is about how quickly fear can spread, even among people with the best intentions. It all started about 3 weeks ago with a single post on social media. It didn't make any bold claims. It didn't cite sources. It simply asked a question. Has anyone heard that Guy Penrod is dealing with serious health issues? That one sentence was all it took. Within hours, the post was shared hundreds of times. Within 2 days, it had been shared over 15,000 times. Prayer chains began forming. Comment sections filled with praying folded hands, and please keep us updated. And somewhere along the way, the question quietly transformed into a statement. As the story traveled from person to person, it changed, the way rumors always do. Suddenly, people were talking about hospital visits that never happened, diagnoses that were never given, plans to retire that were never discussed. Each retelling added another layer of fear. And here's the most heartbreaking part. The gospel music community helped spread it, not out of malice but out of love. People wanted to pray. They wanted to support. They wanted to help. But in doing so, they unintentionally amplified something that wasn't true. What most people don't realize is that false information spreads faster than truth. Much faster. Studies have shown that misinformation travels up to 6 times quicker than verified facts, especially when it's emotional. And nothing spreads faster than fear wrapped in concern. For Guy Penrod, the impact was immediate and deeply personal. His phone wouldn't stop ringing. Friends called in tears. Ministry partners reached out, uncertain about future events. His own family began seeing posts online that suggested there was something seriously wrong, things even they hadn't heard. Imagine watching the internet rewrite your life in real time, while you're sitting at home completely fine. Guy later shared that the hardest part wasn't even the rumors themselves. It was watching how they affected the people he loves most. His wife saw prayer requests that made relatives question whether something was being hidden. His grandchildren heard whispers at school. People who knew him personally were left confused and afraid. And all of it was based on speculation. For weeks, Guy stayed silent, not because he didn't care, but because he wanted to respond the right way. He knew that whatever he said needed to do more than just deny rumors. It needed to speak to something bigger. And then, finally, he spoke. In a video message viewed by hundreds of thousands within hours, Guy Penrod looked directly into the camera and opened with words that immediately brought relief to millions of hearts. He said he was safe. He said he was healthy. And he said he was deeply grateful for every prayer offered in love. But then, his message took a turn that nobody expected. Because instead of stopping there, Guy chose to address the deeper issue, the one quietly hurting faith communities everywhere. And what he said next changed the entire conversation. After reassuring everyone that he was well, Guy Penrod leaned into something far more important than correcting rumors. He spoke about responsibility, not with anger, not with accusation, but with the calm authority of someone who has spent decades in ministry, guiding people through truth, grace, and wisdom. Guy explained that moments like this reveal how dangerous misinformation can be, especially when it's shared under the banner of prayer and concern. He reminded listeners that good intentions don't cancel out real harm. Then he shared a verse that stopped many people in their tracks. Proverbs 18 verse 13. To answer before listening, that is folly and shame. Guy connected that ancient wisdom to modern behavior, explaining that clicking share without verification is the digital version of answering before listening. It feels caring, but it can still cause damage. He wasn't scolding anyone. He was teaching. Guy encouraged people to seek verified sources before spreading information. Official pages, trusted ministry channels, or direct communication when possible. He urged believers to resist speculation, even when emotions are high. Then he introduced a concept he called the power of pause. Before sharing anything online, especially about another person's health or life, Guy challenged everyone to pause and ask 3 simple questions. Do I know this is true? And have I verified it? Is sharing this actually helpful to the person involved? If this turns out to be false, am I okay with my role in spreading it? Those 3 questions, he said, could stop most misinformation before it ever gains traction. To drive the point home, Guy used a powerful analogy: toothpaste out of a tube. Once it's out, you can't put it back. Corrections may come later, but the damage has already spread to places the truth may never reach. He also addressed something many people don't want to talk about: algorithms. Social media platforms reward emotional, shocking content. Fear spreads faster than facts because fear keeps people scrolling. Guy urged his audience to recognize that manipulation and choose intentional truth over impulsive sharing. What made his response so powerful wasn't just that he cleared his name. It's that he transformed a painful moment into a lesson for everyone. He spoke honestly about the personal cost of living in the public eye, especially for ministry leaders and their families. Not asking for sympathy, just understanding. False narratives don't just affect reputations. They affect children, marriages, ministries, and mental health. Then Guy reframed everything. He pointed out that while people were worrying about a crisis that didn't exist, real hurting people were going unseen. Real needs were going unmet. Real opportunities for ministry were being distracted by noise. The enemy, he said, thrives in confusion. And clarity is an act of love. As he closed, Guy thanked everyone sincerely for caring. He acknowledged the love behind the prayers and reminded everyone how blessed he feels to have such a devoted community. But he left them with a challenge. Be truth tellers. Pause before sharing. Protect reputations. Choose verification over virality. The response was immediate. Thousands of comments poured in, apologies, commitments, reflections. People admitted they'd shared without checking and vowed to do better. And that's the real legacy of this moment. Not fear. Not rumors. But growth. Guy Penrod didn't just break his silence. He raised the standard. And in a world drowning in misinformation, that may be one of the most important messages he's ever delivered.